every year more people die than died in the whole of the Second World War, okay?
Wow. Per year, really?
Yeah.
Per year.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, Americans.
Well, there are 558,000 men and women who died in World War II.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready, Steve? Okay, guys. Roll.
Take 4.
And set.
Hi, I'm Sean Maloney. 4 years ago, I had a stroke that wiped out virtually all of my abilities to write, to speak, and to move my right side. 4 months from now, I'm going to ride my bike across the United States.
Okay, cut.
Yeah, thanks. One more time. So do we need to be proactive with our physicians to get a carotid artery checkup?
That's the whole point.
They're not going to say you need to have this.
No, that's
So we need to ask for that.
See, so you already have an effect. You've already changed one person's
I'm
life.
going to ride with you now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sean Maloney.
How's everybody feeling? I have the honor of being back here on stage for the first time since 2001 as the SMG manager, and I can tell you, I have never felt the kind of energy that I feel here now. And that energy is summed up in 2 words, and those words are can do. And it's an attitude. It's an attitude that there is no problem that we can't fix. There is no obstacle that we can't push our way through, because we believe in our abilities to make things happen. And there is not a trace of complacency in that. We know what the challenges are, but we also know that we can win and we can fix it.
I went out for a run. It was about 5 miles, 6 miles with George. And we came back. We went out and did the hills in Palo Alto. And when I came back, I felt really weird. And I said to George, I'm gonna go upstairs and have a sleep. And George said he would keep an eye on me. And I went up, walked over to the bed, bam, which was the carotid artery. It froze. and I fell back onto the bed, and that was it. I felt peaceful. I felt that I was gonna die, and I didn't feel in any way wrong. I mean, I'd had a good life, and that was it. It was over.
I got the phone call from Bridget that she had just called 911, she and George, and I rushed back, and that's when I was so relieved to see Sean smiling inside the ambulance, and I thought, okay, everything will be okay. And then when we got to the hospital, initially, when the doctors asked him questions and they pointed to me, I said, "Do you know who she is?" And he shook his head and looked at me like, "I don't know who that woman is." And that was a very tough moment.
This is Sean's brain. In the front of the brain, these are actually the eyeballs there. There's no damage. The brain looks nice, and these gray and white borders that are characteristic of the brain in health. But as you move further back, you see this big black hole on the left side of this brain. That's where the stroke was.
The doctors explained to me that the portion of my brain about the size of a walnut was gone, just gone. That's what happens in about 60% of strokes. That's when I came to the conclusion that the left side of my brain was simply not up to the task. Instead, I will have to train the right side of my brain to take over from the function of speech. As it turns out, the right side of your brain is fully capable of controlling speech. All the resources are there. It's just that most people have never had to resort to using it for that purpose, which is probably good because it's really hard work. In fact, it's by far the hardest thing I've ever done.
Ladies and gentlemen, our friend and colleague, Sean Maloney.
Wow. I am back. And you have no idea how good it feels to be saying that.
He's the poster child, as I say, for determination, Sean is. And I met him a number of years ago when we worked together at Intel. And his enthusiasm for life, his passion towards technology, and a lot of the things Sean worked on at Intel were industry, tech sector initiatives that impacted not only the tech sector, Intel, but literally millions of lives. And he's got a passion, a determination to win. We all knew he was destined for something huge, literally huge. You got a chance to know him now. None of us expected what that impact, having major impact on people's lives was going to be trying to address the curing of strokes, so nobody ever has one again. In fact, we all saw it quite differently. What we saw, he was going to change the world through technology. He was going to be the next CEO at Intel. Instead, the stroke hit him, has changed his life, and now what we've got him on the team to help impact millions of folks to try to help solve strokes.
Take a moment now and imagine what it is like to be trapped in your body, unable to speak or write anything. That was me. And I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I am here to try to help you make sure that you do not have to go through what I've been through. From my own experience, I can tell you that much has been done in the stroke arena, but much more needs to be done. Join me and let's do it together.
When Sean heard about the Ice Bucket Challenge and how much money and awareness was raised by the Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS, he said, I want to do this for stroke and heart attack prevention. I want to make sure that everyone in America knows how to spot the signs of a stroke and knows what they can do so that they don't have a heart attack. And he thought about what could he do, Sean Maloney, to make a difference. So that's when he thought about cycling. He was saying, I want to do something that anybody can do. I thought it was a great idea. Typically Sean, crazy, but something that I knew he could do.
Sean invited a few of us over here to his house. And, okay, what's this for? And what he does is he puts up a slide, and it's a map of the United States with a route. And I literally said, O-S-H, this is going to happen. And people who weren't as close to him didn't quite get it. I said, you guys don't know Sean, right? This is going to happen, despite the fact that he had, at that point, I don't know if he had even ridden a bike, but he had decided he wanted to do something big, and for the awareness of, for certainly what he went through.
So our CEO comes in, Tom Lacey, and he says, and I didn't realize how much thought he had given to this until now. I'm finding the truth, but he says, Dave, there's this friend of mine, I used to work for this guy, Sean Maloney. Have you heard his story? And I had not. And he said, well, he's doing this ride across America, and he doesn't know how to ride a bike, and I know you ride your bike to work. You're an avid cyclist, and maybe you could help him, give him some tips, or help him plan out his route, or be part of the committee that's involved in getting this thing launched. So initially, that was my idea, is that I was just coming in as sort of give a consulting perspective of what it's going to take to make this a success. Tom asked me once, do you want to do one leg, ride one of the legs with Sean? And I said, like maybe to LA. And I said, I could do the whole thing, jokingly. But I now understand that Tom all along had kind of penned me as the guy to ride with Sean the whole way.
It's arduous enough to take a bicycle ride across the country in one trip, but for this person who recovered from a stroke, got back on his feet, taught himself how to speak again, move his body normally again, it really is quite remarkable.
Sean made up his mind that he was going to get over this thing. And that principle, that if you make up your mind for something and devote all of your energies to it, then you're bound to be successful.
I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling that Sean may do more in terms of changing people's lives and raising awareness through this campaign than he would have ever done as CEO of Intel.
I knew that there was going to be a lot of adventure, and I knew it was a dangerous ride. I was fearful of someone getting killed on a bike ride.
Sean was somewhat new to cycling. I was concerned about the roads. I was concerned about cars. And then I was concerned about Sean.
I gave Sean a training schedule and said, this is how many miles you need to do in a week, and ramp up to it, and then have a little valley before the big ride to kind of recover. And lo and behold, he followed it.
I'm a former Olympic athlete and professional bike racer, raced in Europe for many years. Dave dragged me into this to help, and I've been riding with him and Sean and helping Sean learn how to handle his bike better and train better and so on. We found out, he's healed himself tremendously, but he still has some issues. For example, he can't feel thirst. Now, that was a big deal. We found out about that, so that tells us that we need to be more on top of making sure that he's hydrated properly, especially when they're crossing the humid and the hot areas that they'll be doing in the countries. It's been real critical to spend some time with them and figure out, areas that we need to address. And I think, we've tried, but it's a big endeavor, and I think they're nuts, and I applaud them for it. I wish I was going with them.
I had no idea biking could be so dangerous, and Dave was so wonderful to get Sean trained up and to pick out the routes and to do everything he could to get Sean back in one piece. There are not a lot of people I would trust my life with. I would trust my life with Dave. And I feel lucky that Dave was with Sean.
Tomorrow morning, you got to pack everything up again, load up the van. It's tough.
Up until now, I've been just worried about the details, and keeping Sean safe. That's our number one priority. So the unknown of how many people are joining us, what people's expectations are, those are a bit troubling. But bottom line, put me on a bike, I'm happy. Sean's happy. We'll keep him safe. We'll have a great time. I think it's good to get the little calm between the storms right now.
This is the kickoff point for Sean's 5,000-mile ride to raise awareness for stroke prevention. Intel is a sponsor of his ride. We're one of the major sponsors. And this is really our employees who are so inspired by Sean for many, many years. And this is the employee response. We've got over 50 riders today from Intel in California. And they're all ready to roll with him to Palo Alto and help send him off to this big journey.
I just want to say welcome to all of you, and thanks for coming to see Sean off. It's symbolic, I think, to have him start at Intel. I think you all know about Sean's courage, obviously his intelligence. The piece you may not always appreciate about Sean if you haven't worked for him is his relentlessness. Anybody that hears Sean's story is inspired. He's doing something that very few people in the world have done. He's biking across the United States. In typical Sean fashion, he took something that's hard and he made it 10x harder, right? He's going to do 5,000 miles instead of 3,000 miles. He's going to zigzag to raise awareness for the cause. I think everybody that hears that story just gets really excited about it. It's hard not to.
How are you? I'm chilly, man. I'm ready to warm up.
Yeah. I had a really difficult task ahead of me. 2 months. Wow. But if there's anything being at Intel has taught me, it is to identify opportunities and never stop improving. I want to put an end to stroke and heart disease, and that's why I'm riding across the country. Thank you for joining me on the ride. Are you ready to go? Yes! Great.
From the very beginning, the biggest concern was just this whole format, where we're inviting people to join the ride, riders of all skill levels, abilities, and there's a danger inherent to having lots of people of different abilities riding together. I didn't want somebody to get in front of Sean, hit the brakes, and cause an accident, or someone to ride into his path. So the main objective was have him surrounded by experienced riders that would keep him from having an accident.
It is my privilege and honor to have the City of Palo Alto sponsor this event, provide the space for this event, and sponsor it as one of our Healthy City, Healthy Community activities. Because these kinds of events affect not just the family, but the community as well.
We know that cardiovascular disease remains the leading killer in the world. We know that an American dies of a stroke every 4 minutes, and we know that stroke remains the leading preventable cause of disability in the United States. And really, this type of progress is only possible because of the passion of people like Sean, people that are dedicated to increasing awareness, people who lend their support and provide inspiration for other stroke survivors, people who raise funds to provide for more research. And I must say that we look to you for your inspiration, your courage, your dedication, and that you are nothing short of a hero for those of us on the board. So I'd like to extend my congratulations. I want to wish you good luck, Godspeed, God bless, and we'll be with you every step of the way emotionally, and we'll see you at the finish line. Way to go, Sean.
Thank you very much, Dr.
On three, let's ride. On three, let's ride. 1, 2, 3, let's ride! Maloney on three. It's like a Viking hug. Everybody, get in here. Hands in the middle. Maloney on three. Maloney on three. 1, 2, 3, Maloney! That's the first time anybody's ever cheered. We say feeling going back and forth. It's a little. Who's got the?
You had a stroke?
Yes, 4 years ago and a half. And Sean is really good.
Is he inspiring to you?
Yes, yes.
Sean's stroke was about 9 months before Deb's.
Yeah.
And we kept hearing, not by name, but about this guy who had a stroke similar to hers and was working harder than anybody they had seen on his recovery.
Yeah,
and it turns out we shared a lot of the same therapists.
Yes.
And then turned out we had some very close mutual friends who introduced us just as they were starting the planning for this trip.
them cookies and stuff. 3 months. There's no way I can do that.
There was actually. Good luck tomorrow.
Don't stand bad about English.
Cheers.
Okay.
Should we go?
Randy. Okay. Thanks, Sagwagon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Woo-hoo! On the road again.
On the road again.
There we go.
Take the lead so they can do some video of you. I'll run over the camera.
The roads in California, I think, are some of the better roads for cyclists, but it's still extremely dangerous.
Mile 50 is lunch. Mile 75, we'll get another chance to rehydrate, get heat, electrolytes, and then we have the final climb.
Right.
So 2 more stops.
If you're riding on a route that you know well, you know where the danger spots are. When you're going through unproven territory, new roads every day, it's just a constant threat. You don't know where the danger lurks.
I felt that we were taking too much of a risk, that this whole thing is crazy. We shouldn't do it. But I think that watching it today, everybody's being very careful. We just have to keep remembering safety.
Okay.
Sean has, impulse control issues sometimes, and trying to, we would stop, and sometimes Sean would go right through that intersection. So we had some talks after day 2. Sean, you can't do that, and he was much better after that.
I asked you why you were out here. Can you tell me why you came out here?
Well, just I know Dave originally is how it started, and I heard about what Sean's doing, and now that I'm on film, I guess I'm a little emotional about it. But I think it's a great honor to be here. I think what Sean is doing, he's turning not a great thing that happened to him into something very positive, and I think it's going to be great to get people aware of stroke and what's happening with that, and it's just an honor to be here, and I'm having a lot of fun. And
well, thank you, man.
That's it. Really, I really feel just great about it. So it's going to be something I'll remember forever.
Excellent. I'll take care of the rest.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. It's both. It's words of wisdom.
We should probably.
Further south. Don't know how far yet, but I wish you the best and carry on. I'll keep in track of you across the Facebook page.
Well, it's fantastic that you're here, but it's awful that you're going.
This was a day of the decade. I wouldn't have given up today for anything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
One's out.
That's good. That's a real good sign. We're still putting in a lot of miles in this first week, more than most of us have been doing in training. So I think it makes good sense to give ourselves a day of rest, really know where we're at. So Ragged Point Inn, I've been told that no other group has stayed more than 1 day there, so I'm a little worried. But we'll see how that plays out. There's, I think, very little distractions there, so hopefully we'll all get some good rest, eat some good food, and be ready for some nice descending as we move on our way south.
I'm a good friend of Dave Fish, and when Dave Fish said that he was going to do this trek cross country, I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive already, right? And then he started talking about Sean a little bit and what happened to him, and I went on the webpage and read up on it, like, wow, I mean, to walk after a stroke is amazing. On a bicycle, really?
So he's only been cycling 1 year?
I started, no, not even a year.
Not even a year?
June 2014 I bought my bicycle. And I'm cycling with us.
Why'd you buy the bike?
I lose the belly.
Take the right hand back, finding the right angle. If it's there, if it's not, oh crap!
These are the days of the open highway. These are the nights of the cloudless sky. These are the times that we've always longed for, in our hearts and in our minds. Everything is gonna be alright, and I feel I've waited all my life for days like these, oh, for days like these, oh.
So far, it's been a good day. I like the wind, I like the breeze, and I like the heat. So in a way, the late start's not great, but it's going to be good practice for when we're going through Houston.
So what detriment does the heat give?
Well, you sweat more, right? And so you're perspiring, and you can get dehydrated. You can get heat stroke if you're not careful. So you have to stay cool, stay moist. Well, Sean has lost the sense of thirst after his stroke. So he has to have a visual cue or a reminder to drink because his body doesn't tell him that he's thirsty. So the danger to him of becoming dehydrated or having a heat stroke is much higher than that for someone who hasn't had a stroke.
It doesn't feel that hot. We just kind of know and anticipate it's going to get a lot hotter as the day goes on. So,
But you leave or you get to your destination before the heat of the day?
We're hoping to, but unfortunately there's just no way. We're going to be in the meat of the heat as we approach town, and we'll just have to deal with it by trying to preload with fluids right now and get a little nutrition in so that we'll be able to power on without stopping for lunch and just getting there as early as we can. So I think we're doing so far so good.
You're at lunch now, though, right?
Well, apparently I am.
Sometimes I feel embarrassed to be a human when I see what's happening, but the truth is 99.99% of the people, they're kind-hearted and mean well, and they respond to Sean's message. I was talking with Alex today, who had a stroke. His wife was in tears. She saw Sean's story, and it brought back the memories, and she said that she had to say goodbye to her old husband and learn to love her new one, and just brought it back. And I mean, he seems like such a great guy, but His was a much smaller stroke, but a stroke nonetheless. So it's neat.
Every time I stop, someone comes out of me, I had a stroke. Think nice.
Hey. I'm Sean Marney.
Congratulations on Santa Barbara.
Thank you, thank you. Wow, Santa Barbara. Big group.
Been following your blogs, and when we found out that you were going to come through Santa Barbara on the day of our weekly ride, we thought, well, we'll just meet up with you. So say hi to Sean and wish him Godspeed.
This is the photographic crew.
And I'm riding for the cause. I'm riding for my great-grandfather, died of a heart attack. Grandfather died of a stroke. Father had a heart attack at 60. Mother had a heart attack at 48. Brother had a heart attack at 63. Go Sean.
The inaugural Heart Across America bike ride came through today. It starts in Palo Alto and ends in New York. It's all to help raise awareness for stroke and heart disease. Former Intel exec Sean Maloney is doing the ride after he suffered from a stroke several years ago. He is joined by his friend Dave and hundreds of others along the way.
It's exciting for me. It's something, I've always wanted to do a tour across the country, never like this, with, 5,000 miles hitting all these cities.
Now, the group started with 100 riders. They are now down to 7. Dave says they will pick up more riders along the way. They're biking about 450 miles per week and will finish in New York City, they say, on June 15th.
Well, that's a good trek.
That is a
miles.
big trek, yeah.
No kidding.
I had radiation therapy when I was a teenager, and so I've had 4 stents, and then just in January I had an aortic valve replacement. So I'm coming back from that. Because of my past cardiac issues and working with the Heart Foundation, I was very intrigued, and I thought, I'll come out and meet you guys and go for a little ride and support the group.
He was so enthusiastic and he was so supportive of what Sean was doing. And he was a great role model for this concept of never give up.
I had a friend of mine who died at age 37 on the basketball court. Had a heart attack, had a sudden heart attack, which, very similar to Sean's story, is most of these things, I wouldn't say most, but a high percentage of people, the first symptom is death or a stroke.
Tough first symptom.
It's a tough first symptom, yeah. So that's why screening is so important.
The one thing I have learned living in the USA is that together we can do anything.
Thank you, Paul and Qualcomm, for being part of this journey. I am now 610 miles in. That is 11.2% to be exact. There are still a lot of miles to go, but the people I've met and stories I've heard motivate me to keep moving forward. I have no doubt this cycling campaign will be one of the hardest things I will ever have done. But if it saves one life, it will be worth every mile. Thank you.
Sean fell. Sean's chain came off and he fell, and later in the day he was, as we were riding, he's checking his leg and saying, "I don't think it's broken." And I'm like, "Sean, don't tell me this. You don't think it's, have you ever broken a bone before?" Thinking that, if he's broken a bone before, he kind of knows what a broken bone would feel like. And his answer is, "Really?" And I later find out that Sean has broken bones many, many times. So I was alarmed that maybe the ride would end. Don and I were out at the van. Don's organizing the van. We're getting our bikes ready, everything ready. Sean shows up a little late, and he asks me, where are we going for breakfast and how do you get there? And not thinking, I told him, you just go down here, make a right, and then first left, and it's 3 or 4 miles down the hill. And then as we're loading up his stuff into the van, where's Sean? Sean had taken off. So Don and I scramble, getting our shoes on, getting our helmet on, get on our bikes to make sure that we can, keep Sean safe and make sure he goes the right way. And I was fiddling with my camera. I pulled over at one point to get the camera adjusted properly. Don had stopped to check his sugar, his blood sugar, and he passed me, went on down trying to catch up to Sean.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
We have a bicyclist down on the ground right now.
When I reached the scene of the accident, I saw a SUV stopped in the road. I saw a bike down on the ground and didn't see Sean yet. Wasn't sure who had the accident, whether it was Don or Sean. And when I came up, then I saw that Don was kneeling, trying to take care of Sean. Sean had fallen. And what had happened is Sean's front wheel had fallen in a groove, deep crack between the shoulder and the concrete roadway, which was really in bad shape. There's high risk of him going into shock. He was in a lot of pain. He was shivering. It was really a tough scene.
The policeman was a cyclist, and he said to me, I'm really sorry. And he said, but listen, you got to get up. So I said to him, what do you mean get up? Seriously, you got to get up, because we've got to put you into the helicopter.
Amy called, and Amy was very calm and said, I want to call you and tell you Sean's okay. So my first reaction was, okay, Sean's okay, that's okay. And then she said, he's had an accident. And I think at the time, I know now that Amy didn't realize how serious it was yet. I wasn't initially worried. It was only afterwards that I realized how bad his injuries were.
I had a fractured hip. I had a shoulder which was busted.
Nice job.
Every 2 hours he would wake up in agony, needing pain medicine. But his whole goal was to get back on the road.
Today was a very sad day for the Heart Across America campaign. Unfortunately, as we left the hotel, Sean in the lead went down on our way to breakfast. He's in the hospital. He's being well cared for. And Sean will get better. And we'll look for a way to move this campaign forward.
Sean was just wanting to complete the mission and making sure it would be completed.
I was determined to come back. Determined to come back.
Don and I really thought that the ride was over, and we were fine with that. Marty came up to me and said, Dave, this is bigger than just Sean's story. The ride needs to go on. If you need me to speak at these engagements, I'm happy to step up and be this, because the message needs to go on. And you know, that was pretty, it was a very emotional moment. Don and I look at each other and realize it's the two of us. You know, we're going to keep the flag going, and we'll hold the fort. You know, we'll talk for Sean at the events and until Sean's able to rejoin us.
Dave picked up the torch.
It was totally awesome to have the sort of support that you guys provided out for us,
Good deal.
particularly in light of the accident.
We cared a lot about Sean, and yeah, we only had been riding with Sean for a week and a half, but we had been training with him since November. Sean fell. We both felt guilty, and we were there to protect him, and despite that, you know, he had a very major accident. It could happen to any rider, but you still play these games in your mind where you think, I wish it hadn't happened. At this point, the workload on Don and I went way down. It was a lot easier for us to coordinate together. Every night, it was my job to plan the next day, figure out where we're stopping for lunch. You know, Don was working more on keeping the van organized, keeping the bikes in good shape. When this thing started, I thought my job was, I'm going to map out the course. I'll map out all the turns. I'll identify the cities that we're going to stop at. I'll figure out how many miles per day, find the hotels, just be the guy in the background doing the logistical work. And then on the rest days where Sean gives talks, I'm going to lay in bed with my feet up and just relax and be ready for the next day. So there was quite a shift at that point. It now meant that I really needed to take an active role in getting the word out there. And explain to people why we were doing this ride.
Actually, I was got to know about this Heart Across America by Passoni, Danilo, and Matteo, the owner, and they, you know, put me in contact with you guys, and I love to do this, and, you know, support you. And
John's telling us he's riding with 2 new hips. Correct?
Yes, that's true. 2 new hips.
Yeah.
2 new hips.
Yeah.
And a Passoni.
And a Passoni.
Truly inspired, man. I found your video on YouTube, kind of geeking out to cycling videos, and joined up. So good luck and thanks for the inspiration.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Yeah. When you're on your bike, you're in the here and now, right? You have to be. So you're aware of what's happening around you. You're working, your heart's beating. You're just in the moment. And for me, that is soothing. It's you're focused on everything around you, but your mind is free to feel and to process a lot of the things that you're feeling. When I could have a long stretch, like a long climb, where I can just get lost in the rhythm of climbing and riding a bike, to me, that was the best.
It's been a week since I've had my operation. The operation did need to happen. 29 steel pins in me. 29. Good heavens. But the pace has been slow after the operation.
Sean is special. He's a one-of-a-kind kind of guy, you know, so when he speaks, everything he says is exactly what he means, and he has the time to be able to think through everything, and so his words are very powerful, the ones that he chooses to say and what he's able to say, and so he has an extraordinary sense of humor, and he finds humor in his own situation, which is very uncommon.
Sean is ultra motivated and really just wants to move on and get past, you know, this accident. Sean was very easy patient. He didn't need much motivation. He, you know, fights through everything, everything he needed to do in therapy, even, you know, despite, you know, whatever pain he may have. Other patients I've had in the past, you kind of have to really coax him out of bed, and Sean had to slow down. I'm like, all right, be careful, you know, you have some limitations here. And he just wanted to get on with it and be independent again, so it was great. The surgeons are going to limit his ability to get on a bike, and I think that's the main thing. I think if he wants to, he absolutely will in due time. Yeah.
It's a truly marvelous day. Truly a marvelous day. It started out with looking really iffy. It was super cold to start, but we walked out of the hotel. I did a little ride up to the road, checked down the road. All I saw was big, ugly black clouds, but then I went back to get Dave. By the time we both got on our bikes and hit the road, the clouds had cleared, and there's a nice westerly wind hauling ass all the way to Santa Rosa.
26.5 miles per hour average speed. We were at a beautiful hotel, Matador Hotel, great furnishings, a lovely place, and they have a TV, and we're seeing Tornado Watch turning into Tornado Warning, and everyone's telling us that we need to go to the basement of the courthouse. And, you know, we were reluctant because we're in this nice place, we're paying the money to stay in a nice hotel, and here we are, we're going to have to huddle down in the basement of a building. Which turned out to be wonderful because we got down there and we basically met the whole city. You know, I talked to a lot of people there. One high school boy told me that he had switched high schools because he was being bullied at his current school. And this is a small town, you know, I don't know, 5,000 people, but bullying was still an issue there. So I had a lot of nice, engaging conversations with people there and enjoyed it. And eventually the warnings passed, and you know, we were able to go back to the hotel, running through the rain. That was one of my favorite nights. The people staying at that hotel, the guests staying at that hotel, loved the message. Don was full of enthusiasm, telling them about what we're doing. And we were, you know, all hugs as we headed out, wishing us the best.
Jack County 911, where's your emergency?
Somebody's totally unresponsive.
Where at?
Butterfield Hotel in room 30.
Room 30?
He's diabetic. And he's a diabetic.
How old is he, do you know?
60, I believe.
And how, was he just now found unresponsive?
I just found him.
Okay.
You know, we agreed to meet for breakfast, I believe it was 7 a.m. And I got out, and Dennis was out by the van, and Don hadn't shown up yet. And, you know, we look at each other. It's sort of not like Don to be a little late, but we give him a few minutes. Dennis calls him, no answer. And I send him a few text messages, you know, we're waiting for you, no answer. And then we're getting very worried. So Dennis ran to the office to get a key. And I went in the van, got some apple juice out, expecting that maybe Don had had a sugar low and maybe had gone into a coma. And so we got the key, opened the door, and Don was lying in bed, peaceful, arms at his side, no sense, everything in his place by the bed. I went up to him and thought that he was, you know, just not, maybe just in a deep, deep sleep. And I had the apple juice ready for him, and Dennis had looked at him and said, I don't think he's asleep. I think it's gone. I stepped out and I called Dee Dee, or Diana, his sister, my wife. That was hard. I said, it doesn't look good. I think Don's in a bad way. We've got an emergency crew here. And they're working on him. And I said, you need to let Andrea know.
I heard a knock at the front door, and it was Dee Dee. You could see she was really upset, and she says, you know, I'm sorry, I tried to call you, I just had to come over, and I just got a call from Dave, and, you know, Don's not responding. They found him unresponsive. They've called the paramedics. You know, he's on his way to the hospital or something, you know. So we didn't know what really was going on then.
Dennis and I followed the ambulance to the hospital, which was just less than a mile away, and we waited. And finally the doctor came out and said, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, we couldn't bring him back. Clearly, in my mind now, this is it, we're done.
The trip didn't turn out the way we originally planned. Obviously, with the tragedy that happened last weekend, it definitely took on a different tenor. And, you know, it just made the whole ride a little bit more reflective, a little bit more, you know, thinking about life in general, and the good that we're doing with this ride, I think, becomes that much more important if we can help others through the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association. It just made it that much more meaningful.
And we continued because really Andrea came up and she said, I want to do what Don would have wanted us to do, and Don would not want the ride to stop. You know, and I was like, I don't know if I have it in me to keep going, but you know, we'll try.
How do we carry on like this? How do we continue?
We're going to ride, we're going to honor Don. It's emotional for all of us.
One of the hardest things to do is raise awareness for this issue. And for individuals and corporations to step up and do bold initiatives like what Sean is attempting is great, because it does bring awareness across our whole country, and it helps bring it to light in a way that people can be inspired and also know what they need to do.
And that's been always one of the hard battles for both stroke and heart.
It's a great thing, because there are so many people out there today that are having strokes that are wondering, what can I do to improve my quality of life? And I think Sean really brings that indication to them.
I felt guilty for wanting to keep riding. You know, I don't know what was driving me, you know, to continue. It wasn't, you know, carrying the banner forward. I didn't want the whole thing to stop. You know, emotionally, I didn't want to go on, but there was a part of me that just kept saying, you've got to keep going. I was very conflicted. You know, still enjoying riding, knowing this is what Don would have wanted, but thinking that it's not fair to him to not give him more of a tribute, more of a pause.
There's two kinds of people that have bad things happen to them. You know, one person rolls over and puts their legs up and starts waving their arms saying, help me, help me. The other person rolls back over and says, where's my bike? Sean's just recognizes that, you know, he's got a broken hip, so that's where we're at. You know, what does it mean? I think, just like me, he's one of the kind of people that the biggest way of getting over being knocked down is to get up as hard and fast as you can.
I've known Sean, you know, as long as I've been involved with Intel, pretty much, and inspired by his determination, his desire to share his lessons and educate people on prevention. And you know, I'm a big believer in prevention, and also, you know, people really pulling on information to be able to take care of their own health. And so, really love what Sean is doing, and just honored to be a part of it.
I'm riding and I see this guy riding ahead of me. He looks pretty strong and he's got a beautiful bike. Yeah. Classic. And I say, what brings you here? And he goes, I'm a heart attack survivor. And it's the last thing I expected to hear from you.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I've had this happen to me multiple times on this trip. Stroke survivors, heart attack survivors. So it's interesting, but you know, I was just trying to make conversation.
Right,
you know?
right.
Oh, what are you doing here? You know?
Yeah.
We have 7,000 people here. So we believed it would be important for Sean's message to be heard with the members of our community here, with members here at the site, because it's an important one. It's one where you focus on personal health, personal well-being, and focus on things that are preventable.
Now they're saying
just the task of riding across country is amazing all by itself. And then to have somebody who has recovered from a stroke do it is even more amazing than that. So it really drew me, just, you know, the incredible human effort that he's putting into this, and completely unselfish in giving his time to spread this message. Really very powerful message. I think everybody took away from it some good information.
he's just quite an inspiration to have him here with us and bringing, such attention to, heart and stroke and, the things that you need to be aware of. This was very informative. I think some of the things that, for example, I learned today are around some of the signs of stroke, which I wasn't, probably as aware of as I should have been, being more, affected by heart attack. But stroke, the signs of stroke are something I think we should all be aware of. And it's good to also get a reminder about, the lifestyle changes that we should all make and pay attention to.
I was training for dance, and I had a stroke.
He had headache and that just wouldn't go away, and so he just kept feeling tired and weak, and we finally went to the family doctor. Family doctor, told us to go to the hospital, and we were in the hospital and they were running all sorts of tests. It wasn't his blood pressure or anything like that. And in the middle of doing one of the procedures or tests to try to determine what was wrong with him, that's when he initially had a stroke. It's just kind of like a devastating experience that takes over your life. And I guess the most important thing is to be as healthy as you can, and that also helps with your recovery. Learn the signs, don't ignore them, and just don't give up.
Don't give up.
I recognized in preparing for this ride the value of doing the advanced planning, but yeah, no elasticity to the schedule made it difficult. I always dreamt of doing a ride by myself, completely by myself, no driver, just go on my own. But I've gotten used to having friends, family, camera crew around, so it's, right now I'm a little nervous. It's just kind of just me and Dennis. And I've been surrounded by, a lot more awareness of things that can go wrong. So I've always been afraid of, the dogs or the traffic, but now it's, you worry, you think you're indestructible, and you're seeing very healthy, strong people having trouble, heart attacks, strokes.
It's an endurance test to some extent. You're going day after day after day, and 80 to 100 miles is common. So it takes a lot of endurance. Dave's amazing that he can keep on doing it.
As you know, I'm sure, the day before Don, or the night Don passed, Dee Dee was on the phone with me, concerned that I was pushing myself too hard. And I'm trying to reassure her, no, I know when I'm tired, I'm doing okay. We got to live our lives, and we got to keep spreading the word. And I sure hope nothing happens, but, we keep it positive, keep thinking positive, keep the stress levels down, and I think it's going to be good.
I went on the website and read all about the Heart Across America ride, and did a little research, watched the video on Sean Maloney and what it was all about. Of course, as a cyclist, as a local cyclist, I felt like I needed to call and get in on the thing and see what I could do to help. So I didn't do much, but at least provided a little bit of Natchez hospitality, one of the things that we're famous for.
I got a call last night from City Hall saying that Dave was going to be in town tonight, and so I
called him up and met with him and just loved the story and the cause that he's riding for, and wanted to meet him and wish him luck. I wish I could ride with him today, but unfortunately schedules don't allow that, but certainly wish him the tailwind behind him today.
Thank you. Yeah. And your story, you said you've been biking for about a year, is that right?
My wife and I got bikes a year ago for Christmas and started biking and running, and just been on a fitness journey for the last couple of years, and together we've lost almost 350 pounds by doing it the right way, eating less and exercising more, and just enjoying being out running and riding on the road.
Okay. And you're aware also of heart health and possible issues, and you've been proactive on that front.
Correct. My father had a heart attack, and my wife's father had a heart attack, and so we're very well aware of American Heart Association and support them. And in fact, myself, as a result of getting fit, I learned that I had bradycardia and had to have a pacemaker put in, but thanks to that, I'm beating a steady 60 beats a minute.
Good. You'd be surprised at how educated people are in different parts of the world where you would expect them not to be. I mean, there was more awareness perhaps in some of these small communities than you'd see in the big cities. But, and it could be because families maybe are tighter and they see, they know why their grandfather or grandmother died or something, or a sibling had an issue. I mean, we saw in small towns many cases where young people had strokes.
We're doing the back roads. We're seeing a lot of small town USA, and it's been amazing. It is really amazing. And in the small towns, the people are amazingly friendly. It's just, I'm going to have some memories for a long time.
Zigzagging across the country, going to small towns, talking to people, meeting people along the way, telling the story is a great way to get a message across to people who aren't tuned in to the latest news show. And they talk to their friends, they talk to their family, they tell you about these crazy guys trying to do this ride. For me, wanting it to continue is just every day's a new day. You're meeting people along the way. You're surprised at the stories that you hear of people with how they've overcome difficult times.
We started talking about strokes and hearts and health in general, and I realized that my mother, for her PhD and her master's degrees, is still in denial about the fact that we have a history in our family of vascular disease.
Right.
And her 90th birthday is coming up, and I'm letting everybody know that you can have your carotid arteries checked for practically nothing.
Right.
And it's cheap insurance, and everyone should do it. And I also checked in with everyone in my company this morning, from the president on down. There's going to be at least 20 people asking me what happened yesterday that made such an impact on my life. Personally, you have probably saved my life by the short conversation that we had. Thank you very much.
You want to go through life thinking that you're indestructible, and you don't want to go through life thinking you're like a helium balloon tied to a cactus plant. I don't know if you've seen that little image thing, but I feel like life's much more like that now. And I can't say I rejoice in that, but knowledge is power. Knowing where your risks are is power, and I think the medical community is coming up with things that can help reduce your risks. So, I encourage everybody, get the data and know where you're at.
We're staying at a place in Toledo, and I went down to the lobby, and there was a
it was a guy in a wheelchair, and he clearly had been stroke. He had clearly had a stroke, and he was, you know, it was rough. And I walked up to him, and he said, "Are you Sean Maloney?" I said, "Yes." And he was Stephen Coyle.
And it is my pleasure being able to come down here and meet you and seeing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, I'm just a little man trying to get the word out about strokes in whatever way that I can. If I knock on enough doors, you know.
Bit by bit, we will conquer.
Yeah.
Anyone who's had a stroke, there must be every day is better than the day before. Next week is better than last week. Go, 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 go. He was perfect for that.
To see Sean come on the bike was so moving. To see Dave and Andrea and Dee Dee come through made me feel touched, really, really touched.
All of our other riders from all the way in Palo Alto, California, making their way across the finish line.
There was relief, right? And surprise at how big the reception was and the excitement in the crowd. You've done it, you've crossed the line, we're here. And you know, then there was the emotion associated with losing Don.
It was more emotional than I thought. It's over, we did it, we've accomplished this great thing that, you know, Don had set out to do, and here I was finishing it. It felt like I finished what he started. I was so proud of Dave. Dave did this whole thing. You know, we helped along the way, and I felt proud of myself, and it was great being part of this group of people. Part of me couldn't believe it was over, and part of me couldn't believe that it had been accomplished.
When I look back on the trip, it's the kindness of America that comes back to mind. It's the kindness. I'm glad to be in New York. I'm glad to be in New York.
in a way, that ride was like, for me, it feels like a short life of its own, you know, and in that life I experienced loss, I experienced hope, I experienced all kinds of emotions. And you know, as you go through life, we're all losing things. We all will lose loved ones, we lose our abilities to do things. But some of us keep plugging on, and we just make do with what we have.
My new home for the next week and a half.
1.5 million. That's the numbers of people who have heart attacks and strokes. If there is anything you should take away from today, it's that 80% of strokes and heart diseases are preventable. There are lots of things that you can do. Get your blood pressure checked. Get your cholesterol checked. If you don't, you could have a ticking time bomb inside.
Regarding this ride, do you think that you accomplished your goal, or do you think that
Yeah.
that what you set out to do, raise awareness and get people involved and getting people more aware of how to prevent stroke, do you think that you've accomplished your mission?
Totally. I did what I intended to do. That's it.